just wanted to say to, again, those of you who are just joining us, very much welcome you to today's Wednesday webinar in association with Wessex Searches. This is on the official CON29DW and how it protects you and your client. Wessex Searches have been a huge supporter of Bristol Law Society for many years now. And you'll know that they're the official producer of the Law Society's CON29DW residential and commercial drainage and water search in the Wessex Water region. And 2022, I think, marks a big anniversary for you guys, isn't it? I think 20 years.
Yeah, that's right.
Since its launch. So hence why we're here today, to kind of give you an update on that. I'll be handing over to both Libby and Sandra in just a couple of minutes. But just to say, again, for those of you who've just joined, this session will be recorded and we'll send out the slides at the end of the session as well. So by all means make notes, but don't worry, the full notes will be winging their way to you in the next day or two. There's going to be a couple of polls during the session. So when those flash up, please do get involved. And also there's a Q&A function at the bottom of the screen. So if you've got any questions that you want to pose, we'll pick those up predominantly at the end. If you want to put those in as they occur to you, please do so. You can post those anonymously. In these sessions, no question is ever silly or too small a question. So feel free to put comments and questions in there, and I will pick those up at the end. And as I say, if there's anything else that you want from Bristol Law Society or Wessex in the future, please do let us know, because there'll be a feedback form winging its way to you as well at the end of this session. So I'm going to hand over to Libby and Sandra, who you can see on screen now. They've got a presentation they're going to go through. When that flashes up, you'll probably find that their screen goes blank just whilst that flashes up, but you should be able to hear them. Any problems, please message us, but rest assured they're still there and they'll be there on audio. So without further ado, Libby and Sandra, welcome to our Wednesday webinar session. Thanks for your time. Over to you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So we're just going to start sharing our presentation with you now. So just bear with us a moment. Welcome to our webinar. So today's topic is the official CON29DW, how it protects you and your client. My name is Liberty. I am a Client Services Executive at Wessex Searches, and today I am joined by my colleague Sandra Taylor, who is a search processor. I will be leading you through all things drainage, and Sandra will be talking you through the world of water. We would like this to be an interactive session, so as Helen mentioned, there will be some polls throughout for you to get involved with. So you may be thinking, who are Wessex Searches? Well, we are the official producer of the CON29DW in the Wessex Water region. If you don't already know what the CON29DW is, you will definitely know all about it by the end of this session. We specialise in delivering a personal, professional and proactive service to our clients. So for those of you wondering what the CON29DW actually is, it's essentially a bespoke report created to reveal important and potentially deal-breaking information about the water and the drainage at a property. On your screen there, you can see 10 different drainage and water companies throughout the UK, all produce their own official CON29DW report. The reports may differ in look from company to company, but the same standard 25 questions will be answered as set by the Law Society. Within the official search, no question is ever left unanswered. You can be assured that we will find out the answers to all the questions. The official CON29 and commercial DW report provides full consumer protection. This means if there are any inaccuracies, we will put it right for the lifetime occupancy of the property. That is our guarantee. Whilst you cannot know what your client's future plans for the property may be, knowing if there are constraints or towards future development may be a deciding factor to the purchase. This is deal-breaking information. So we don't just produce the CON29DW, but we are also a one-stop shop for all your other searches needs. We work with trusted suppliers to provide additional searches that help you compile the complete search pack. As you can see on that screen there, we've got our CON29DW in the middle, but we also offer lots of other products such as utilities, planning, environmental and compliance products. So hazard alerts. When placing an order for searches, it can often be a difficult decision to make, whether there's so many products on the market, which one do you choose? So when ordering on our website, you will notice that we have built-in hazard alerts. These are designed to make your life easier by flagging potential risks to the property, such as radon or mining. They will also then suggest which search products cover these risks. This is one more way that we can help you to ensure your due diligence. The hazard alerts work from a live feed from our trusted suppliers, which use grid references and postcodes to accurately alert you to the potential risks. As shown on the screen there, the small red buttons, if you hover over these, this will give you further specific detail on the hazards which are actually located at the property. We would definitely recommend paying attention to the risks highlighted here. You may think that you know an area well, but you could still be unaware of possible hazards. So now we're going to give you a brief overview of what the CON29DW is. We're going to begin leading you through the report. I will hand you over to Sandra, who will be talking about the beginning of the report.
Thank you, Libby. This is the front page of the report. It gives a summary of connection to water and sewerage and if there are pipes within the boundary. The charging section shows whether metered or not. A tick shows it's metered. Customer reference and our reference is shown and who the report was completed by, giving a personal touch. There are also contact details at the bottom. Our Interpreting Your Report section is filled with useful information and diagrams of both water and drainage. The diagrams illustrate pipework responsibility, showing how pipework is often laid out at detached, semi-detached, terraced houses and flats. As well as this, we have an important contact section which has been put in place to help you should you have any inquiries which may arise following the results of a CON29DW search. I'll now hand you back to Libby, who is going to talk through the drainage section.
Brilliant, thank you, Sandra. So following the introduction to the report, the next thing you'll come across will be the drainage section. So to begin the topic of drainage, we thought it would be quite fun to do a poll. So we've got a question up on the screen here, so I'll just read that out for you. What percentage of occupied domestic properties in Wessex Waters region are not connected for drainage? So this could be that they have a septic tank, a cesspit, a private pumping station, some other form of private drainage. So is it A, 5%, B, 9%, or C, 11%? If you just want to vote in the poll now, that would be amazing. Just for information as well, this relates to question 2.1 of the report. So does foul water drain from the property drain into a public sewer? So we'll just give you a moment to just vote in the poll now. Lovely. So for those of you that said A, you are in fact correct. So around 5% of properties in Wessex Waters region are not connected to drainage. So it's quite a small number. Brilliant. Thank you so much for your participation there. So we're going to talk through what questions are actually covered in the drainage section of the report. There's a lot of important information here. So the first two questions are in relation to the property's connection to services, both foul and surface water. The questions then move on to the property's proximity to public assets, as well as the adoption of sewers if the property is within a new build development. And then the section also advises whether the water company has been consulted or approved plans to build over a public sewer. Finally, the report advises if the property is on a register, which is known as the DG5 register. So this is a register which is a database of properties which have experienced internal flooding as a result of overloaded public sewers. Definitely one you'd want to know the answer to. Please just note that within the search, we will not reveal whether the owners have self-certificated for a build near agreement. So this means whether the current owners have contacted Wessex Water online and got a self-certification to build near the property. That is a completely separate thing to a build over agreement, so that will not be answered within the report. So just giving you a bit more background information. On the 1st of October 2011, in accordance with the water industry regulations, Wessex Water became responsible for the ownership and maintenance of thousands of kilometres of formerly private sewers. These are now referred to as Section 105A sewers and lateral drains. Knowing about this rule change is very important. Whether or not a property should have obtained a build-over agreement or not is dependent on whether when the pipe near to or under the property was adopted. So, for example, if building works were carried out over a sewer prior to the 1st of October 2011, and at that time that pipe was private, then no approval would have been needed from the water company. So upon receiving a CON29DW search and reviewing the public sewer map, you may want to inquire as to the date of adoption of a particular sewer, which you can see. You can do so by contacting us either via email or over the phone, and we would be happy to advise you. You may find when reviewing a drainage map that pipework appears incomplete or a known public pipe is just not shown on the map. The reason for this is that due to the thousands of kilometres of pipes that were adopted in 2011, it's an ongoing process to record and map out the sewers. This is why it's so important for a client to carry out an on-site survey before they consider any building work or excavations. So that's drainage covered. I'm now going to hand you over to Sandra, who's going to talk you through water.
Okay, the water section of the reports. Right, the first question confirms if the property is connected to mains water supply. Some properties do have a private supply. The next question states if a water pipe is within the boundary or not. Is there an adoption agreement for the water pipes? This may be relevant if the property is in a new build development. The report advises if the property is on a register known as the DG2 register. This register is a database of properties which experience low water pressure. Finally, the last section provides an analysis of the water hardness in the area. This is referred to in the table shown on the screen. High levels of limescale can affect kettles, washing machines, showers. A build-up of limescale in your kettle means it is working harder and using more energy. We now have another question, which if you could put your answers in the poll. What are your client's options if a drainage and water inquiry indicated that a water main ran through the site of their proposed home extension? Is it A, obtain a build-over agreement, or B, change plans and request a diversion? Give you a few minutes to put that in. So, thank you to everyone that answered. The correct answer is B, change plans and request a diversion. So, why is it important to know if there is a water pipe within your boundary? On the screen there is a case study from the Sunday Times which highlights the issue perfectly. Mr. Singh, the man standing in the hall, purchased his 3-bedroom property in Coventry with his wife after he retired. Unbeknown to Mr. and Mrs. Singh, a water main ran through the boundary of their property, and this was discovered only during building work of a new extension. Severn Trent then stepped in, stopped the works, and gave the couple 2 choices: either stop and repair the damage caused at their own cost, or divert the water main, which would cost £50,000. Bearing in mind the house cost £107,000. In the last paragraph, it states that Mr. Singh is currently trying to sue his conveyancing solicitor. The seller may not always be aware of any pipes present, so again, please always study plans and contact the producer should you have any queries. So, what is self-lay? Earlier, Libby discussed adoption of sewers. Self-lay is the adoption of water pipes and water pipe laying adoption. Question 3.3 covers this. In the water section, advises whether any water mains or service pipes serving the property are subject of an existing adoption agreement or application for such an agreement. So what does this actually mean? It means that sometimes when developers are working on new sites, they may choose to lay the water mains themselves under a self-lay agreement using an accredited self-lay provider. The response to this question will be of particular interest to those purchasing new build homes and want to know whether or not the property will be linked to the mains water supply. Every new meter is pressure tested, sterilised and sampled to make sure it meets our standards before it is put into service. I will now hand you over to Libby, who will go through the charging section.
Thank you, Sandra. So we've now made it to the charging section. This is the final section of questions within the report just before you get to the map section. So it covers areas such as who supplies the water and drainage, as well as who bills the water and drainage. It then also details information about the current method of charging, as well as potential future charging arrangements at the property. You may come across different methods of charging. Most properties nowadays are fitted with water meters. These accurately measure the exact amount of water usage. However, you may come across with some older properties, they are currently still billed on a basis of rateable value or RV. This is a figure that is given to the property and then they are billed based upon the set figure. If the property your client is purchasing is currently billed on a rateable value, you may wish to advise them that the water company do have a statutory right to install a water meter at a property upon change of occupier. Within the Wessex Water region, there are cross boundaries, which could mean different billing procedures apply. For example, in Bristol, Wessex Water is the sewerage provider, however, Bristol Water provides the water supply. So it's important to know how the property is being charged so that the purchaser can make assumptions in terms of how this could affect their bills and monthly outgoings. Another point to note, with new build properties, the report will respond as not connected. However, this may not be the case and the property may actually be connected to fresh water and main sewerage. It just hasn't yet been brought onto charge, therefore we have no billing information to refer to for an answer. We've now made it to the final section, which is the maps. The key features of our water and drainage maps are shown on the screen here. We will always provide two maps, a separate one for the drainage and a separate for the water. The maps are always orientated to the north. Arrows are shown on the assets which indicate the direction of flow inside the pipe, and all known public apparatus are indicated on the maps and the legends. So here's a drainage map and the legend beneath. The maps and legends are extensive and detail locating all public assets. As you can see from the drainage legends, there are a lot of assets. Some you may have never come across. Things like non-return valves and washouts. They are rare, but definitely worth looking out for. So, questions that you want to be asking when you're looking at a drainage map. Are there any public sewers within the boundary? This could have a big impact on any extension or building work that your client wishes to undertake at the property. If they plan to build over or near to a public sewer, they will need to get Wessex Water's consent before they start any works. Strategic sewers. So these are shown as a red line with a thick black outline for foul. These are shown on the maps as a big, thick outline, and they carry waste for a large amount of properties. Permission is needed from Wessex Water if your client wants to build within 6 metres of one of these sewers. pumping stations. These are shown as a solid red triangle. Within question 2.5.1, we will advise whether the property is located within 50 metres of a public pumping station. So what do? So they pump waste either horizontally and or uphill when gravity will not allow this. They're definitely an important one to be looking out for on the map. And finally, we've got non-return valves. What this does is it prevents sewage from flowing back through the drain system during flood conditions. The presence of a non-return valve may indicate that the property has experienced sewer flooding in the past. This is known as DG5. So Sandra is now going to talk you through the water maps.
This is a water plan showing pipes and assets. As you can see from this slide, there are a number of assets which could be shown on your water map, from the usual public supply mains to non-return valves. It is important to always refer to the legend if you are unsure of a feature. We tend to receive fewer queries in regards to water plans. However, there still are important features to look out for. Is there a water pipe within the boundary? It is rare for public water mains to be located within a property boundary, as they tend to be located more commonly within the highway. These are indicated by solid blue lines. However, they will sometimes be located within the curtilage. If this is the case and your client is planning any building extension to the property, they will need to consider that the pipe will still need to be accessible to the water company in case of repair and maintenance. The water main may need to be diverted. This would need to be discussed with Wessex Water before any building work is carried out. Remember the earlier case study of Mr. Singh. Raw water mains may sometimes be within the boundary. These carry natural water, i.e. rainwater, groundwater, surface water, well water, lakes and rivers found in the environment that have not been treated nor had any minerals, ions, particles or organisms removed. I'll now hand you back to Libby.
So well done. You've now successfully made your way through the CON29DW report. As we close this webinar, we just wanted to take the time to highlight to you our new Learning Hub, as shown on the screen there. This has recently been introduced to our website, and it is a bank of resources such as videos, recorded webinars, case studies and articles. It's split into sections so that there are resources ranging from mining to flooding, environmental to planning and highways. This is regularly updated with new resources. Please do check it out. Finally, please do get in touch with us for any further information following this session. And if you would like to get hold of your free copy of our Conveyancer's Guide to the CON29DW, please do get in touch and we would be more than happy to supply you with this. All contact details are displayed on screen, or please feel free to ask myself or Sandra any questions afterwards. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Libby and Sandra. Well, that's a very comprehensive romp through the report. So I don't think we've got any questions in the Q&A box just yet, but I'll give you all a little bit of time. If anybody's got anything, please do put that in there. As I say, you know, those questions could be anonymous, but we've got a couple of questions that were sent to us in advance. If I can pop those to you, perhaps, Libby and Sandra. Great. So the first question is, following a search which has revealed there is a build-over agreement in place, how would I obtain a copy of this?
Okay, yeah, good question. So in order to obtain the agreement, you're more than welcome to get in touch with us, but the best route of call would be to contact the build-over team at Wessex Water. So they can only give out these agreements to actually the homeowner or the solicitor who's acting on behalf of the seller. So the best route would be contacting the build-over department directly.
Super, that's great. Thank you very much. Hope that's answered your question when I posted that one. Next one, why don't you show private sewers on the drainage maps?
Right, that's another good question. We don't necessarily show private pipes on our maps, as they are not Wessex Water responsibility. If you want to know where they are, we would recommend using a private contractor to find out where they are.
Fantastic, thank you very much. And then, yeah, a third question. Again, please do, if anything pops into your mind whilst I'm posing this final question I have, please do pop it in the box. How would I obtain a copy of a Section 104 agreement?
Yes, another good one as well. So I would say get in contact with us. So within all of our official CON29DW reports, our contact details are on the report, and they're also on the screen here now if you do need to get in touch with us, and we would point you in the right direction to obtaining that. Fantastic,
that's great. Can't see any other Q&As just at the moment. As I say, oh, here we go. No, one coming in. Fantastic, that's great. Are there any instances where I can build over a strategic sewer?
It's not something we would always ask at the build over department, the possibilities of that, but it's, as they generally, they would probably want to investigate. You can't build within 6 meters of a strategic sewer. So to get full details and information, it would be easier to contact the build over department, and they would give full information on what you can and can't do and what is actually required.
It does depend on a number of factors, how many properties that sewer is serving, how far down it is, lots of different factors are involved there. It can sometimes be granted on brownfield sites, but it would be a matter of getting that consent from the build over department. But generally the rule of thumb is not any building works within 6 meters.
That's really helpful. Thank you very much. I think that's answered that. Can't see any more coming in. Do feel free to pop one in. Last chance if you've got any burning questions. As I said, this session has been recorded, so you'll be getting a recording. So feel free to watch that again and share it with people in your teams where that's relevant. A copy of the slides are also coming through, and as you can see, you've got the team's contact details on there. So I know that they'll be delighted to talk to you about any of this, and indeed any of the services that Wessex can provide, and inquiries that you have on the deals that you're currently working on. If there is anything else that's sort of coming up in your practice, and you would like us through BLS to address that with a webinar with Wessex in the future, please do let us know. Similarly, I know Wessex, if you're a client of Wessex, then they're very happy to come and talk to you about these things and teams and whatever. I believe that's the case, Libby.
Yeah, definitely.
So please do let Libby and Sandra and the team at Wessex know. But otherwise, unless there's any final questions, I don't think there is. Are any closing remarks that you want to make, Libby and Sandra, before I let everybody get back to their day?
Just thank you for joining everyone today, and thank you for your participation throughout.
Brilliant, fantastic. Well, thank you again for your participation in this webinar. As I said, any questions that you have on the back of receiving all the information, so please do let us know. There's a feedback form coming out to you, and if there's anything else that you would like Bristol Law Society to do webinars on in the future, then please feel free to put that information down on the feedback form. We really do want to be here and provide you with information that's relevant to your practice and helpful on a daily basis. Yeah, we really appreciate that engagement. So thank you all for coming this lunchtime. I hope you have a good afternoon, and we very much look forward to seeing you on another webinar very soon. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Goodbye.